Okay, welcome, guys. We all good? Bit of stage stuff you saw there, removing a chair. Barry hasn't got a photo, but this is Barry. He's here, okay? He won't be on the big screen, but he's okay. He's happy. This is our second session on the Horizon stage. So this is Moving Wales Forward, Technology Transforming Transport and Revolutionising Mobility. Who was stuck in the traffic this morning? This could be interesting, right? That's for sure. Tom was stuck in it as well. Okay, give our panel a warm welcome and our chair, Tom Kinnear.
Just testing, you can hear me okay? Yep, great. So, as what was just introduced there, so I'm the chair for today. My name is Tom Kinnear. I work for an organisation called Amey. If you don't know Amey, we provide engineering solutions for transport, which is partly why I'm here. The main reason, I guess, what we're most famous for around here is in partnership with Transport for Wales, the transformation of the Cardiff Valley lines, which includes the electrification. So I've got a fair amount about transport and mobility through my own experiences. Before I introduce the panel today, I just wanted to give a little bit of context about this session. So in Wales, the Future Generations Act policy focuses on sustainable and prosperous future for Wales. So you may be asking, what has transport got to do with that? Well, it's actually an intrinsic part of that act in itself, because transport in Wales connects people, businesses and communities, generating improved market access, access to the employment, stimulating investment and supporting tourism, amongst other things. However, geographical and social challenges in Wales mean that not everyone has access to transport. Take today as an example. But actually, there are some studies that suggest 1 in 10 adults in Wales miss work due to limitations in transport, and 1 in 20 are not able to reach medical appointments because of challenges of accessibility. So more needs to be done in the transport and mobility space. So today explores how technology and innovation can achieve that. So I'd like to welcome the panel today. First of all, we've got Barry from Transport for Wales. Barry, would you mind just doing a quick intro?
Yep, thanks, Tom. Welcome, everybody. Barry Lloyd. I'm Head of Innovation and New Product Development at Transport for Wales. My role essentially is to lead the innovation team in the work that we do at TFW to make us more efficient, make us more agile, and ultimately enable us to meet the vision aligned with the Welsh Government. So we lead new technologies, sustainable solutions and customer-focused services to help create trust and reliability to enable people to use the public transport system more often to meet those goals. We do that via internal workshops, by hackathons, working with local universities and schools to help bring along skills and make transport an attractive sector to work in. And our main event is our accelerator that we run, that we work with startups and scale-ups to help solve some of our ongoing business challenges and business opportunities.
Thanks, Barry. Next up, we've got Samir. Samir, do you want to talk about what you do?
Thank you. So Samir Savani, I'm Managing Director for Transport at Connected Places Catapult. So for those who haven't heard of us before, CPC is a government-backed innovation accelerator. So if you were outsourcing, we're who you'd outsource to. And just as an example, we are the outsource agency for all of Department for Transport's innovation work, and we have a number of frameworks with other partners like Network Rail and National Highways. So we're all about accelerating SMEs in particular and the technologies that they have into complex markets like transport, built environment, construction, etc.
Brilliant. And last but certainly not least, and hot off previous stage, is Sally.
Hi, so I'm Sally Fuller. I head up mobile for BT Business, and that includes the network rollout that we're doing to all our business customers, which is road, rail, most of the transport sector we cover, as well as obviously the harbours, but also the ecosystem that goes with that. So the devices, the services, the security, the circularity, the sustainability, and the applications that we put on top, which are really, half the experience is the device and the services that go on top of it. So those services are things that support not just worker productivity, if someone's using wearables or glasses or a device with a camera on it, but also worker health and safety, managing loneliness and managing wellness through that mobile ecosystem. So I pull that all together for our customers. And in Wales, we're obviously spending, I think, in total, we're spending about 5 billion a year on network rollout nationally. About 700 million of that comes into Wales. And that's our fibre and our 5G build, as well as all the work that we do with the customers here to actually enable good connectivity to support all the digital change that we're talking about.
Brilliant, thank you. We will, towards the end of the session, give chance for some questions in the audience. But to start off with, if I just start off with Barry, can you just explain a little bit more and maybe give some examples of where TfW are delivering the vision of the Welsh Government in terms of transport and mobility?
Yeah, sure. So everything that we are trying to do at Transport for Wales is aligned to the goals that Tom set out earlier, the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, the National Transport Delivery Plan. Ultimately, we're enabling Wales to meet its net zero targets by 2050 by helping people utilise public transport instead of taking a car for journeys where they possibly can. So it's enabling mobility to get people to jobs, to family, to friends, on leisure trips, anything that they would usually take a car to, give them a viable option to take public transport for some part or all of that journey. We need to create trust and reliability, enable that to happen. There's a lot of behaviour change that needs to take place. People are used to using their cars for all journeys. In order to give them a viable option, we need to give them something that's reliable, that they can trust in, day out. It's a hard task. There's a long way to go, but that's the journey that we're on, ultimately. So we're committing to create a sustainable, connected and inclusive transport system in Wales. That's not just trains, that's not just buses, that's buses and trains together, along with active travel options. So, cycle hire, scooter hire, making those pathways less blocked and more available to people. We're building a multimodal transport system. That's our aim. One ticket, one network, one timetable. So you can easily transfer from a train onto a bus, vice versa, to connect you first and last mile from your house to your place of work, to the hospital, to wherever it is you're trying to get to on public transport, and as seamless and as easy as possible. So it's mobility as a service. That's our aim. Planning, booking, payment, one system, not 5 apps, not 3 different options for different bus operators and different train operators and different cycle hire places. One app, one system, seamless. That's the plan. And it's custom-centric design, so it's accessible for all. We're not designing it for one group of people in mind. We're designing it for everybody in mind. So its priorities really are simplicity, frequency, and connectivity. If we can connect up the whole of Wales in a seamless manner, we can hopefully enable us to meet those Welsh Government targets of net zero, which is a hard task. But we're doing it via regional collaboration, working with CJC, so corporate joint committees, local authorities to help deliver regional transport plans. So the local authorities own a lot of those plans and how they deliver regional transport in their areas. We're trying to work with them at Transport for Wales to enable us to create that seamless journey option. There's a number of examples really where we've helped try to do that. Where connectivity, utilising some low-orbit satellite trials going on right now. How we better to provide connectivity to the trains that we're operating between North and South Wales. Anybody that's travelled between North and South Wales on one of our trains, the connectivity is poor. We know it's poor, and we're actively trying to do something about it by utilising low-orbit satellites to provide an ability for people to work on the train between Cardiff, Manchester, North Wales, to make it a viable option. 3 or 4 hours on the train, we're not an ability to do any work, doesn't make it viable. And you can get there in car quicker. But if you take the train and you can work on the train, it's more productive time. So yeah, that's just one example, I think, of the things that we're trying to do right now to enable that vision to come to life.
Thanks, Barry. And just over to you, Samir. Obviously, in terms of what you do within connected places, from an innovation point of view, what is being done to support Barry and TfW and wider transport organisations to achieve this vision?
So with organisations like Barry's, I guess we don't have a too deep a relationship, but we have a collaboration at the Station Innovation Zone. So just to put that into context, as a kind of government-backed entity, we have a number of tools at different stages for SMEs, technology SMEs, depending on where they are on their kind of market readiness. One of those tools is a test bed. We call it a Station Innovation Zone. It's based out at Bristol Temple Meads. And what's really kind of powerful about that, it brings together over 30 stakeholders at the station. So station managers, train operators, even passenger representative groups, because all of those stakeholders make a difference in terms of whether a technology is adopted, and giving SMEs the ability to live trial and demonstrate those technologies in an environment that's busy. It's a multimodal exchange, complex passenger movements, retail, coffee shops, all of that, and the station is being built up and refurbished as well. It gives those technology companies an opportunity to demonstrate not just their technology, but the outcome on passengers. So some of the work we've been doing is with SMEs that are trying to reduce anxiety for passengers. It's also supporting deaf passengers with a clever Bluetooth technology, which gives them information, not just on the train journey, but intermodal for the rest of their journey as well. So it's really about giving those smaller companies who've got the innovative technologies, but they need a place to go and demonstrate it, to show that it works, to show that it has the impact before it can be scaled in other settings. Barry, maybe you give some feedback as to any of the technology companies you've seen, how well they're doing.
Yeah, well, we've seen some really good collaboration between you guys in the Station Innovation Zone in Bristol and ourselves. And I think there's been some good joint learning that we've helped each other with over the last few years. One of the companies we've been looking at helped us understand how, I think in your Station Innovation Zone, that the way that the station sweats and secretes water and makes it an unsafe place to sort of travel and walk through. And we've certainly taken learnings from that about how we can utilise some of that technology in our stations in and around Wales to make it a safer environment for people to travel. And I think safety underpins everything that we're trying to do. So yeah, that's one, I think, real tangible example where we've learned from you guys and seen the test and have taken that technology in and utilised it in our environment.
Yeah, so it's some of the companies you're talking about, they're fairly mature in the technology, maybe TRL 5 or 6. They're ready to demonstrate. As part of our toolkit, we also support something called Transport Research Innovation Grants. I'll only say that one once, TRIG. So it's DFT sponsored and funded, but it's delivered by CPC. And that's for earlier stage technology companies. So they can develop their technologies to a slightly higher TRL before taking it into a live environment like the Station Innovation Zone. But so other ingredients that our companies need are kind of wraparound business support as well. So actually having the clever idea is quite difficult. But the harder part is things like connecting those companies to downstream investors, upskilling them. Even marketing and business development support can really help those companies grow. And then it's about some of those non-technical barriers. Procurement, for example. If anyone's tried to get into a procurement arrangement with the likes of Network Rail or a large train operating company, it can be quite difficult, quite daunting, and that switches SMEs off as well. So actually what we do as a service is let that company do what they do best, which is technology innovation. And then we as CPC provide all the other services, the wraparound and the backbone, and convening all of those complex partners, which is really hard for SMEs in particular.
Yeah, the backbone is actually a really important aspect for innovation and technology to transform transport. And on that theme, Sally, we talk about the need for infrastructure and connectivity, but from your point of view, what is Wales doing in that sense to support this technological advancement?
So I think the biggest thing that Wales is doing is having the ambition and then having the guidance underneath it, and I find it really inspiring. I wish I lived here. I live in England. England hasn't got the same ambition. It's not got the same inspiration. It's not got the same guidance and social value and social purpose in such a unified way. So I think if you start with the ambition, the innovation, the partnerships, the organisations, and the people will follow, and underneath that, the vision. And that will drive, and it is driving, a level of innovation. It attracts organisations like BT. Obviously, we've got a lot of staff here. We drive a lot of ecosystem here. We build everything to be interoperable in the same way the transport network does. The seamlessness between different public transport and maps. We build everything to be interoperable as well, and then layer the fabric on top to support some of the ambition that you've heard talk about. So whether or not that is enabling additional camera as a service solutions and CCTV, whether or not it's supporting a ruggedized SIM to go in a drone, so you could do environmental survey or rapid response if there's an event on a major highway, for example, like the M4, or whether or not that is street hubs doing digital displays and communicating information and creating nudges to the public. All of that is part of the connectivity ecosystem to support the ambition. And it's far better displayed and leveraged here, if I'm honest, than a lot of other parts of the UK. So I think it's a absolutely phenomenal community for us to be part of.
That's brilliant, and I love the idea around the ambition within Wales, which is so good to hear from you. Just to stick with yourself, what we want to obviously look towards the future. What are the key decisions you feel that needs to be made in order to fully realise the potential from technology in transport?
In some of the conversation that's being had about the adoption of more renewables and the sustainable ecosystem, I think is a big part of it. I think the innovations around AI, how AI is going to unleash a level of productivity for everyone, how it can also help with health and safety and wellness monitoring. So we know that the people that we're asking to do more, to be more efficient, to be more effective, are enabled by AI. That needs an ecosystem of devices. It needs an ecosystem of a good network. It needs partnership to build that ecosystem so it's sustainable and so it's affordable. I think the other side of it, what I'd like to see more of here, is there's a technology called 5G slicing coming along, which allows for a level of additional network prioritization and additional network security. We think that will have a significant impact on the way that ports work. A number of ports globally, particularly in Asia Pacific, but also in Rotterdam, have gone fully autonomous, which means they're operating really efficiently. They're operating 24 hours a day. They're operating safely. They're managing inventory and maritime traffic, and they're managing safety and the whole flow of freight incredibly efficiently. That obviously attracts a lot of transport demands that can then be optimized so that they're working when people aren't using the streets or the roads to commute. They're working at off-peak hours and they're working in an autonomous way. So I think one of the things that we should be looking at is how do we take that 5G slicing technology. In the past, it would have been built as 5G private network. So we've built that in places like Belfast as a private network. But in the future, that will be consumed more as a scalable service. But I think we should be looking at each of the ports, along with the stadiums and the transport hubs. It's also going into the railway stations and major transport hubs and saying, well, how do we take that technology to make sure we've got absolute future-proofing, again, which will give us security and autonomy to a level that we've never seen before. So it's an absolute step change in what's coming. And I think the ambition that Wales has got will lend itself really well to it.
Brilliant. And, taking it wider outside of, connectivity, I'll open this up to the panel. In terms of technological advancement, what do you want to see more of, or where do you want to see a shift in what Wales is doing, as a nation, and also as us within a transport industry? Anyone want to go?
For me, it's kind of two areas. One is around building kind of base layers of data and that connectivity, so other innovators can come and build applications and other services on top of that. I think there's a real opportunity to have much more of a national asset as a data and digital backbone, if you like, and then other innovators come and build on top of that. I think the other thing that the transport sector really needs to keep a close eye on is the energy transition, because I think transport is obviously following that rather than leading it. Certainly transport in the UK is one of the largest emitters in terms of energy, and the rail network is the UK's largest electricity user, for example. But we as a sector aren't going to drive that transition. We're going to be following that transition. So whether it's more electrification, more hydrogen, or other solutions, that's something we really have to sort of keep an eye on. So if I was to say what do we need to do more around transport innovation, in addition to that integrated model, and it's great that Wales has got that ambition, In fact, the UK's only got one, sorry, England's only got one integrated transport authority in TfL, whereas you've got the opportunity to do that right across the country from day one, which is absolutely brilliant. It's really about that decarbonisation journey and making sure that the cost of that is just, and making sure everybody's got equal and equitable access to that, because it ain't going to be cheap. You know, even in London, it's, you know, buses have the highest patronage of any public transport mode, but it's still subsidised by the rest of TfL's network, just as an example. We've got to make sure as we go through that energy transition that it's just and people have got accessible and equitable access to our public transport networks. So we're including them in the economy. There's a real risk of designing for not everybody, and we exclude a big chunk of society outside of this growth.
Brilliant. Does anyone else want to?
No, I completely agree. And I think the whole decarbonisation area is something that we're aware of, we're working towards, and are cognizant of the fact it's a challenge. I think trying to put EV chargers in at key locations for buses, for cars, to enable people to utilise public transport and maybe, you know, use their EV to go to a station, park there and charge their car and then get on a train. It's not there at the moment, and that's something that we need to accelerate and work hard on to enable people to make the switch from diesel and petrol cars onto more efficient ways of travel. We're working on it, we're aware of it, but it's something I think we need to maybe pull forward in our planning rather than, you know, follow.
Yeah, Sally?
I think your point about 7 to 8% of all energy consumption is into transport. So the move towards that energy consumption being from renewable sources is obviously a good thing, and having those renewable sources available, and Wales is well set to create lots of renewable energy. I think there's a lot of innovation as well happening around electrifying trains and buses, creating a road network that actually powers and recharges your car as you drive it. I've also seen some really exciting innovations where they're actually even laying solar panels along the tracks now as well. So I think the innovation is there, and it's coming to help the problem. Well, and obviously the ultimate one, exactly as you said, is encouraging different habits and encouraging different adoptions as well, so that we're not sitting there with our old cars chugging away. We're actually sharing our transport and sharing the most sustainable way of travelling. So
That's brilliant. And before I open it up to the audience, just one final question for me. Barry, you talked about behavioural change that is required within this. And you gave some really good examples of a human-centred approach around transport that would actually aid mobility from a design thinking point of view, or from a human-centred point of view. What further needs to be done to be able to allow everyone to travel within Wales?
Well, I think it like I said earlier, it's about creating trust in people and providing reliability. If we can improve the transport system that people can rely on, and then trust day in, day out, that creates behaviour change, right? You know, if you have a bad experience, it generally puts you off from potentially trying it again. So we really need to invest in reliable infrastructure. We need to invest in AI to help us with planned maintenance and predictive maintenance, and we fix things before they break. We need to really understand how we can understand the changes in our climate and create more climate resilience, and utilising, you know, storm resilience and rapid response. And how can we harness the tech transition that we're seeing in transport? How can we really use that more quickly? How can we help it with our jobs that we do and rely on people for today? How can we enable our people to be able to perform better and have more ability, I suppose, to make it a more trusting and more reliable network for people to use? And I think the work that we're doing at Transport for Wales and the team here, we try to do that by working with startups and scale-ups and small businesses to bring their innovations forward, to bring them in and test them on the network, create proof of concepts, and then move into a more ongoing contract with people. And we're seeing that in small areas. We're seeing real big areas of growth and real big transitions. But there's a big bang still waiting to happen, I feel, and we really need to get to that point as soon as we can.
Yeah, and just to add that, we're in danger of overly agreeing with each other, Barry. So as we go through that transition, harness the technology, that kind of human-centered design and making that inclusive is so incredibly important, because some of the work we've seen around reducing anxiety for neurodiverse passengers, right? It's a minority group, but it's important that we target that group in terms of including them in the solutions, because once we solve for that group, it's amazing to see the benefits we see for everybody using those. And there's loads of other inclusion and accessibility design aspects that if we get right, they're absolutely better for everybody. You know, we do a lot of work with a number of transport providers around safety for women and girls on transport, for example, to make sure that we're fully able to kind of embrace that demographic into that economic system. But once we get it right for that demographic, it's surprising how great the transport network becomes for everybody else. So we mustn't forget some of those groups, and it's okay to target them because there is a genuine business and economic case behind that, as well as, of course, the moral imperative of taking everyone on that journey with us. Excuse the pun.
Yeah, no, and I agree, Samia, and the winners of our latest accelerator, Inclutech, they've designed an app that we're utilising that helps women and girls report violence or when they feel unsafe. And we've seen a huge uptake from all of our teams wanting to see that come in Transport for Wales. I think they're going to make some big waves in the transport industry. They're doing some really good work, and we're glad that they came through our programme, and we're really supporting them to move forwards. And I think this, that will, as you say, it will enable everybody to travel more safely, not just any particular demographic. Yeah.
Brilliant. And just on that, in terms of startups and small to medium enterprises, you know, both of you have highlighted the importance of it. But where's the challenge here? Is it generating more startups, or is it scaling up those ideas?
It's 100% is scaling up, and it's adoption, and it's ensuring that we can procure the right companies to come and work with us at the right time. Working through the procurement legislation can be tiresome, can be hard. As Samia mentioned earlier, we'll try to support people to move forward on that journey. It's relatively straightforward to get a proof of concept delivered and understand the learnings from that and see if it works. It's not that straightforward then to create then into an ongoing contract to work with them on an ongoing basis, because generally there'll be more players in the market thinking, well, we can come and do that as well. So it's trying to scale up those businesses. I think is where we need to work.
Yeah, I mean, scale up is absolutely the right place. I mean, there are numerous reports which shows that the UK is really good at actually spinning out startups and establishing startups, but its scale up is where we really lose that battle. You know, Citymapper is a great example of something which started out in the UK, still operates here, but actually is now US owned just because that investment round wasn't available for that company as it scaled. And who out of us doesn't use a solution like that, right? So connecting to the investor community is super important. And most of the barriers that those SMEs are facing once they've developed their technology to, say, TRL 5 or 6 are non-technical barriers. So another test bed that we have is in Glasgow Airport, which is a highly regulated, quite a complex environment, as you can imagine. And most of the innovations there are around contractual innovations, business model innovations, you know, getting over the regulatory barriers and having accepted means of compliance to regulation rather than doing things the old way and accepting that that's how they're done. So, yeah, scale up is absolutely, I think, far more important.
I was just going to add 2 things. I think skills help. So a lot of the digital skills for tomorrow programs that BT and other organisations do are really important. So how do we give people the skills to shape their businesses, shape their ideas? I think the hackathons and the startup support is amazing. And the other side of it is the cost. So most people who earn under 30K, who are often the innovators and the entrepreneurs, have to commute, you know, as one of their costs. But there's a lot of other costs of starting up a business. So how do we have incentives and support to make it affordable to be an entrepreneur, and to create that startup and to actually be able to do the work in the ecosystem, the partners and customers that you need to grow your business.
Brilliant, thank you. So I think now is the right time to hand it over to the audience. Is there any questions? Yes, please. I think we've got, if we could take a microphone over, that'd be great.
So more for transport network, to be honest. So there's been a lot of decline, a lot of poor service over the last couple of decades, and people, especially in the valleys and in South Wales, tend to have a lot of long memories. So my main question is how are you combating sort of negative views that exist currently on like the reliability of public transport in South Wales and in other areas of Wales as well?
I think that was for me. Yeah, look, I think there's been a vast underinvestment over the last 20 years or so in the train operations, specifically for the Core Valley lines. Something that Transport for Wales is actively addressing. We're investing hundreds of millions of pounds in new trains, new stations, new infrastructure to make sure that the operation there can run more reliably. The new trains are operating now on an ongoing basis, coming down from Aberdare, Treherbert and Merthyr into Cardiff Central, as well as coming down the Rumney line. Those new trains, they're longer, they're more reliable, they're newer, they're safer to travel in, they're more airy, there's more space in them. They're a better environment for everybody to travel in. We hope that that's going to encourage people then to utilise those trains more often. And as I mentioned in one of my answers earlier, the next thing for us is to make them more reliable and to operate them more frequently. The ambition is ultimately to create a metro style, very similar to you see in other cities across England, whereby you don't really need a timetable. You can go to the station and a train will be there within 10 minutes or so. You can jump on that train and you can jump off the other end. And when you come home, it's the same in reverse. That's the ambition. That's what we're working towards. It doesn't happen quickly, unfortunately. You know, new trains coming online take time. But the majority of the trains that we ordered way back in 2018 when Transport for Wales started operating are now in service. There's more to come. And we're creating that journey and that pathway to enable us to continue to provide for the people of Wales. Investing in stations and investing in infrastructure and utilising some of the new technologies to help us understand where maintenance needs to happen, where we can do things in advance of trains failing, we're doing. So we hopefully over time will get that trust back and keep that trust and continue to provide. And ultimately it's listening. We listen to what our customers tell us. We're not blind to the fact that improvement was needed, and that's why we put the investment in alongside our Welsh Government colleagues to really invest in creating a system that works for everybody.
Well, thank you. And actually, just on that aspect of listening to customers, maybe Samir, Sally, have you got any points of view of maybe what you're doing in terms of listening to, you know, members of the industry or commuters themselves to improve your solutions?
I won't give you a BT example. I'll give you a different one actually, because I think it's really inspiring, and that's what Vinted are doing. And I run the sustainability forum at BT, and we had the chief exec of Vinted Marketplace speak on Friday, and he opened up by saying, "I really love my job," which was quite inspiring. But if I look at what they've done, they've actually created a community of sellers and buyers that are really collaborative, that are making new to you as valuable as new. And they've developed a nation of teenage entrepreneurs who are actually seeing value in second-hand and will now go to charity shops as well. So what they've done is really, you know, they didn't set out to be driving sustainability was part of their agenda and that sort of circularity, but it's also driven a focus on quality and cost per wear. And throwaway fashion obviously sells for nothing on Vinted. So I think there's something there about how do you create a win-win? How do you create a community that fulfills people and it taps into a need, but drives some collaboration and purpose that is self-powering, if you like. And I think networks and collaboration and that sort of inspiration is quite clever. And there will be something in that and in the model that they've created that I think we could tap into for most idea generation and sustainable. And I mean by that something that's got long-termism, sustainable engagement and sustainable ideas.
Thank you. So I guess I'll come back to the Station Innovation Zone, because when we work with our partners to set those challenges, very often it's qualitative research with passengers and really surveying them as to what makes them anxious. Is it the friction changing between different modes of transport? Is it a lack of information? Is it the environment that they're in? Or is it about disruption and their kind of fear factor as to what to do when it's disrupted? So it's really taking that passenger experience in terms of what's really causing them friction and anxiety, and then making sure that the challenges that we set for the innovators is focused around that. So as much as it is great having the technologies which capture the data like the air quality or the noise or all of those things which sensors can do. It's actually having those conversations with passengers in a structured way which really drives the innovation programs and drives the impact of the solutions once they're in place. So if anyone happens to be in Temple Meads over the next however long your memory lasts, you'll see dotted about the place a bunch of QR codes. And if you scan one of those, it brings up a WhatsApp AI agent, which all you have to do is tell it where you want to go, and it uses the real-time data to navigate you through to which platform, if there are any disruptions, and hopefully will overlay things like how busy a train is going to be or how busy specific carriages on a train is going to be, so people can make those choices. So coming back to the real carrot for people to change their behaviors is if you give them the options and the information, and people are then perfectly capable of making those decisions based on that. So, yeah, long may that continue.
Yeah, go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, something you said to me just sort of triggered me. So we don't innovate just for the sake of it. We innovate for purpose, based on listening to what our customers say, what our colleagues are asking us for, and ultimately what our partners are asking us for. So we don't just do things that are fun for the sake of it. We do things that are needed because people are asking for them. And I think that's really important. The innovation program is specifically set up to deliver something that people are asking for, not because we want to do it.
Yeah, that's really good. And I did not expect to talk about Vinted on transports. So, really good. But it does demonstrate, actually, there's a lot we can learn from other industries, right? Have we got any other questions? Yep, just over here.
Hi, Justin James from Cardiff University Industry Engagement, specifically within computer science. I'm just wondering what opportunities are being explored or presented for students to be able to enter these industries, be it transport or tech or infrastructure, because so often we get told by students that they're looking for jobs, but all of these organizations and industries are asking for experience, be it 5 years, 3 years, or even just a year, but they don't have that when they graduate. But my role is to try and open up to those students that there are opportunities for them to work whilst they're studying, be it on projects whilst they're still in university, or on an internship or a placement year or something like that. But also, obviously, when they graduate, to be able to get them into those roles to enable them to grow, because they could potentially be our future leaders. So what is available and what's happening to sort of promote those?
Thank you for what you do. I've just had one go to university, so I feel very vested in that question as well. They're studying philosophy, so if anyone knows how to get a philosopher a job, please advise. Yeah. Although I did see that the tech companies are now recruiting philosophers to create values in AI. So at BT, this is the core. I mean, I joined the tech industry on a graduate program. Most of my peer group joined on a graduate program. So we have internships and placements. We have work opportunities, typically for younger students, so GCSE A-level students as well. We also have apprenticeship schemes. So some graduates still join apprenticeship schemes. Obviously, some non-graduates join the apprenticeship schemes. And we have the graduate programs across all the different work streams. And the level of investment and recruitment has continued at pace. And what I love about it at BT is they get substantial real jobs. So most of us have several vacancies that we fill with the graduates each year. So when they come in, they're taking a job that's real, that's giving them real experience. So I use graduates in my team, for example, to create the device portfolio. So to onboard all the devices, do the device launches, do the testing in the labs of the devices, the design. So they get real experience that then actually feeds their careers and grows them. So I think it's absolutely core. We're nothing without generating that level of energy and that level of hope. I think the only slight downside is I saw recently from Gartner that early careers are probably the most damaged by AI. It supports later careers people because they know what questions to ask, they've got the knowledge bank, and therefore we have to think very carefully about that and how do we maintain that level of entry-level opportunity. across the industry and also with the partners and suppliers that we work with. And I know this year, obviously we all know a number of people who've really struggled in the graduate market. It's been a much more challenging market than I think ever before. So doing the courses that are being sought after with the universities that have got fabulous reputations like Cardiff is also part of it as well. So.
Yeah. Barry, do you want to go?
We offer very similar programs to what Sally's just referenced there. We run a hackathon every year where we invite the local universities to. That gives them a bit of an understanding of the work that we do in transport and maybe potentially where there are roles for them. We explain about what the business is and what the business does. Some people come in to think we're a train operator. When we talk to them about what the role of Transport for Wales is, they see potential opportunity for them then across different roles in the organisation. That's a good sort of entry level. We try to keep the conversation going with the universities that we have around in South Wales to help them understand where the opportunities are. I've actually got a placement student with me in my team right now from Swansea University. She's doing an innovation placement for a year to give an understanding of the work that we do in the innovation team to potentially give that as a springboard for her future career. So there's lots of things that we try to do to make transport an attractive place to work. It's not just train operations.
Yeah, and I think there's actually more to do at an earlier age in terms of raising awareness of the transportation industry. When you're 7, 8 years old, you don't think, oh, I want to be a road engineer. But actually, there's a number of initiatives, and there's one sponsored by National Highways, which is actually looking at driving work experience within schools with a transportation link to it from ages of 7 up to 16. So there are initiatives that are going on out there, but I think we'd all agree there's much more to be done. Yeah, thank you. That's about time now, so I would just like to thank our esteemed panelists here and myself, and thank you for listening.